La PINA, en todas las jornadas que ha organizado, ha invitado a mujeres y hombres defensores de la igualdad en otros estados. Estas personas han expuesto sus argumentos y han ofrecido su punto de vista sobre la perspectiva de la igualdad en sus países de origen. Gyða Margrét Pétursdóttir será este año la experta encargada de explicarnos cómo se desarrolla el derecho a los permisos de maternidad y paternidad en Islandia. País este que se encuentra ahora inmerso en un debate público sobre la duración y distribución de los tiempos de permiso entre los padres y las madres. Gyða Margrét Pétursdóttir es doctora en estudios de género. Es profesora adjunta en los estudios de género de la Facultad de Ciencias Políticas de la Universidad de Islandia. Investiga sobre la política islandesa de permisos parentales y es miembro de la Red Internacional de Investigación y Políticas de Permisos desde 2005. Su conocimiento sobre la política islandesa de permisos es tanto teórico como práctico, ya que es madre de 3 criaturas. Su última obra, su última publicación es Iceland From Reluctance to Fast Track Engineering, del año 2009 y escrita con Einarsdóttir. A esta mesa también estaba invitada Hildur Jonsdóttir. Hildur es asesora para temas de igualdad de la primera ministra de Islandia. Hildur ha disculpado su presencia porque la visita inesperada de una enfermedad que requiere cuidados constantes la ha obligado a permanecer en su hogar por consejo médico. Todas las personas que formamos parte de la PINA le deseamos una pronta recuperación. Gyða Margrét marcó un antes y un después en los estudios de género en Islandia. Su tesis doctoral llamada Within the Aura of Gender Equality, Iceland Work Cultures, Gender Relation and Family Responsibility fue la primera centrada en la igualdad de género que se había leído jamás en la universidad islandesa. La investigación pretendía dilucidar cómo padres y madres islandeses gestionaban el trabajo remunerado y la vida familiar. En ella enlaza la estructura social más amplia, organizaciones, con familias e individuos y cómo se influencian entre ellas. Pone de relieve la importancia de observar diferentes fenómenos de forma relacionada y no como entidades independientes. Este análisis dio lugar al concepto de Aura of Gender Equality, que podría traducirse al castellano como el aura de la igualdad de género, y que es similar al espejismo de la igualdad del que nos habla Amelia Valcárcel. Esta expresión describe el proceso social por el cual hombres y mujeres se convencen a sí mismas y a la investigadora de que son iguales a pesar de las evidencias que indican lo contrario. Pero no es el momento de explicar las investigaciones de Gyða, puesto que tenemos aquí a la propia Gyða para contarnos su perspectiva sobre la situación actual de los permisos de paternidad y maternidad en Islandia. Cuando quieras, Gyða. Gracias por venir.
Thank you. I'm extremely honored to be with you here today and all the pioneers of plant. Yes, you'll have my slides here in just a couple of seconds. Okay, we're ready. I'll divide my talk into 5 parts, but I'll talk for about 20 minutes. So first an introduction, followed by the Icelandic parental leave scheme, then a short historical overview, followed by a section on pitfalls in the progressive and suggestions for future developments, and finally some concluding remarks. But to give you some background, we'll start with the work-life statistics. And the numbers you see here are from 2011. So if we start with working hours, and these are the average numbers of hours each week, you see that Icelandic women work almost 36 hours each week, which is close to that of Norwegian men, which work 37 hours per week. And then you see Icelandic men who work on average 44 hours a week. The labor market participation in Iceland is very high. Icelandic women are close to the OECD record for labor market participation. But at the same time, despite the long working hours and the labor market participation, the fertility rate in Iceland is 2.1. So actually we are at the replacement level, one of few European countries. What you also need to know about Iceland is that it is a very small society, as some of you might know, with only 320,000 inhabitants. So it's a micro society. And what often characterizes small societies is the need to be noticed and recognized by others. And this is often achieved by creating a certain image among other nations. Part of Iceland's image is being the first, the only, and so forth. In 1980, Vigdís Finnbogadóttir, single mother, became the first female president to be elected in democratic elections. In 2000, Icelandic fathers got the longest non-transferable paternity leave. In 2009, Jóhanna Sigurðardóttir became the first publicly lesbian prime minister, and last Sunday, Agnes Sigurðardóttir became Bishop of Iceland. Not the first in the world, but one of very few worldwide. And today is presidential election day in Iceland, and again, Icelanders seem to have an opportunity to write history. The story that is unfolding as we speak is that of presidential candidate Þóra Arnórsdóttir. On April 4th this year, she announced her presidential campaign. She was 8 months pregnant at the time. She gave birth to her third child in May, and she lives with her partner, Svavar Halldórsson, who is currently on paternity leave. And here you see Svavar caring for the newborn child while Þóra campaigns. Caring men are quite irresistible, as you can see. So she is breastfeeding and campaigning while he cares. And I would say that this would not have been a possibility before the parental leave reform in year 2000. In 2000, Iceland introduced its 3+3+3 parental leave scheme. 3 months for mothers, 3 months for fathers, and 3 months which they can divide at their own discretion. And the same applies for same-sex couples. The leave was introduced in 3 steps: 1 month for fathers in 2001, 2 months in 2002, and 3 months in 2003. The parents can be on leave at the same time, and leave can be taken until the child is 3 years old. Before the economic collapse in 2008, it used to be that leave could be taken until the child was 18 months old. And I'll return to this in a little while when I talk about pitfalls in the progressive. Payments to leave takers amounts to 80% of gross earnings with a fixed minimum amount, and since 2004, a ceiling on payments. The ceiling until 2009 was set about 3,400 euros a month, which is quite a lot. Minimum wage in Iceland is around 1,100 euros. And the rationale behind this high ceiling on payments was mainly to encourage fathers to use their rights. There is a very strong work ethic in Iceland, as you saw in the working hours I displayed earlier. And despite women's labor market participation and long working hours, the breadwinner ideology, that is, men as breadwinners, is very strong among Icelandic men. And they seem to derive a large part of their self-image from being in paid employment. I work, therefore I am mentality. Therefore, it was quite necessary to set the ceiling on payment so high. This, of course, was met with some resistance. I remember giving an open lecture on the topic, and a woman from the audience stood up and asked with anger in her voice how much we would need to pay men to take care of their elderly parents if we needed to pay them so much to take care of their own children. But despite some reservation, the parental leave scheme was very well received among fathers. And here you see the take-up rates for men for every 100 women taking maternity leave. And the figures are from 2001 to 2008. And also you have the average numbers of days taken by fathers, and in comparison, the average number of days taken by mothers.